Everyone, it is Monday, December 14th, 2020, and it is a new moon full eclipse day. So I thought I would bring you the Mythical Goddess Tarot reading with a 15 card spread to see, excuse me, how we can move forward with greater light. You know, the new moon is an excellent time to move on our heart's desires, to really focus on those. It's the beginning of a new cycle. And this particular energy with an eclipse is extra energy to amp up moving forward and to leave behind the old patterns. We speak about that all the time, and yet this is an energy that will help us with that. We might be feeling some intensity with it, and yet it's here to help lift us up and focus on our heart's desires. So we're going to ask the goddesses and the cards, what do we need to know and do to move forward, to focus in a new cycle of possibility, and use this time as one that propels ourselves forward individually and collectively. So I'm going to do the 15 card spread, and I will tell you all about that as I get the cards laid out. Now, as I do that, I tap into my intuition, and I want to say that Sage Holloway's here. You know, Sage is the author of this tarot deck, and she went into the spirit world in 2015, but she's around all the time, so I know she's here to help with this reading and to bring some guidance and heart to support us. So we'll see what she has to say as I go through the cards today. All right, so the first three cards in a 15 card spread is always about who are we who are asking about this question, about how to move forward in the light, how to raise our vibration, and how to take advantage of this new cycle. So it tells me that it's focusing on the joy that's in our hearts that we already have. It's time to be grateful and to recognize where we are joyful, that we need to use that as an energy and a fuel to move forward. It also tells me that we need to claim our ability to center ourselves in the light, to center our spirits. If you take a look at this card, you'll see that she's focused on this light. Her name is Dreamweaver, is the original name of the painting. And she is fully alive and well spirit, who's here to tell us as we focus on the light, anything is possible, and that this is a very important part of our foundation, to draw upon our joy, our emotional joy, and to draw upon our ability to center on what we create, on what we desire to create, that we have this gift within us. It's very important to focus on the light right now. All right, the other card that's here is great. It's Athena, it's the Chariot card. And she is here to tell us that as we focus on the light, as we focus through our heart spaces in joy, that we can create anything. We can get to our goals as we identify them. The Chariot card takes us full forward, and no one ever gets in the way of a chariot person and their goal. So we have the power, and we have the strength, we have the light, we have solar and lunar light, meaning it illuminates our conscious minds as well as our subconscious and our inner knowing. So it's really important to claim that energy as we move forward, that we have the strength, that we have the heart, and we have the spirit to do what we need to do to create a new reality and to take advantage of this new cycle. So those are pretty good cards to start with. All right. We have a lot of water in our reading so far. So the next, which is about our emotional selves. Very important for us to claim that part of ourselves and to work with it in a positive manner. So this next three cards have to do with the big picture of the next 28 days, what we need to know, where we're headed. And again, we've got this water suit, the seas, the pleasure card, again with her arms wide open, just as the other card, joy, with this heart medicine and light coming in. So she is all about going to this emotional depth of pleasure and joy. The goddess is about pleasure, the divine feminine, returning to pleasure. It's time for us to focus on the pleasure of life, the pleasure of the light within our own hearts, within our own desires, to create what we want. Next to her is passion. We've got a theme here, and I did shuffle these cards really well. Passion, joy, and pleasure are three heart cards, three emotional cards that are straight up in the beginning to tell us this is where we need to be. With this holiday season, with this new moon eclipse energy, we need to go right into our heart spaces as to what lifts us into joy, pleasure, and passion. We need to be in our heart's desires. Again, with our arms open to open our heart spaces, to bring in that energy of our emotional selves, and to really lift up energetically into possibility and potential. And we're here to reclaim our power as we come back into our pleasure, our joy, and our passion. This is Lilith. She's this ancient Sumerian priestess. She's got several stories about her. She's also, in ancient Judaic texts, the first wife of Adam. Did you know that? That Adam had another wife besides Eve, and that she is the one who was born with equal power. She was not born out of his side. She was born out of the same substance as Adam in the original Judaic text. And as an ancient Sumerian priestess, that story is that she is this temple priestess who is here to bring healing through her body, through the pleasure of the body, to help us restore ourselves when we get out of whack. She would help the warriors come back through sacred touch and through witnessing them to help restore what they had lost in battle. And she is beckoning for us to come back to that within ourselves, to reclaim that freedom and that power, to be in the light, to be in our hearts, and to be back in balance, that we take back the divine feminine in balance with our masculine selves, that we reclaim our fierceness, but through love and through higher principles, to reclaim our bodies through love and through sacredness, to reclaim our balance of equality for everyone on this planet, that this is what we are here to do, and this is part of the information coming in right now with this new moon eclipse energy, is to bring emotional light, healing, and power back to ourselves. Not the power over another, but the power within. The energetic power that helps us to know that we are equal, that we are lifted up, that we are divine and we are sacred, and that we deserve to ask for what we need and to receive it. And it's so much more than that. All right, what are our lessons? And what I find very interesting is the three cards in our challenges or our lessons in this next 28-day cycle have to do with three goddesses, which are the divine aspects of ourselves. The lower arcana always represents our human journey, and the higher arcana, or the goddesses in this case, represent our divinity. So it tells me that our challenges have to do with getting in touch with and owning up or aligning to our higher selves. Morgan Le Fay is one of the cards in the lessons and the challenges, and she tells me it's time for us to meet the challenge of being the ones who resource or connect to our divinity, to the Godhead, to the great all that is, the I am presence within us, to God, Goddess, divine, that we're the ones who have the power to express that energy, to shapeshift and alchemize our lives. As we connect with our divinity and we connect with the power of the elemental energies and the life of spirit within all things, especially ourselves, then we have the power to change everything. So this is very important that we are here to connect with that over the next 28 days so that we can roll out 2021 with greater alignment to our divinity and our sacredness. Next to her is Mary Magdalene. And Mary Magdalene is the feminine Christ head. She anointed Jesus, so she had already been Christed. And she sits in this place of lessons for us to raise up and to be initiated into our next higher level of wisdom and understanding, to bring the light through our energy bodies and all of our physical lives, to be initiated up to our own Christ within us, that this lives within us, and she is here to anoint us, to awaken us, to be able to claim that as part of our journey. Our egos and many things that we've been taught along the way want to tell us that's not possible. Might even be blasphemous with the way you were taught. And yet, within every one of us, we've been promised that there is something great within us, and that it's our turn to awaken to that energy. And Mary Magdalene says it's time for us to claim that, to do whatever we can to reclaim our sacredness, to reclaim our beauty, our light, and that the challenges are to see that no matter what you bump up against in your physical lives, in your earthly lives, is to reclaim this divinity. All right, so we're the ones who source. We're the ones moving into our own ability to wake up and be illuminated. And then we have Brigid sitting with them. So in the next 28 days, see what it's like for you to work with your creativity to alchemize your lives, to take what you have and to create something more magnificent, no matter how good or bad, how hard or wonderful, that there's a third thing that's created when you take two things that seem unrelated or perhaps just not working, that really when you put your magic into it, you put spirit into it, is that there's an alchemy that happens and there's a transformation. So Brigid is this Celtic goddess, and she brings in the power of light and art and creativity. So I encourage you over the next 28 days to write, to dance, to paint, to find your creative way that you approach your lives, and to look at how you work with that and the source energy to initiate change, to bring in a new way of being, that your creative wonderment, your curiosity is going to help you transform through being able to go to that place within yourselves. It's pretty good stuff so far. Calling us to a higher way of being. All right. So that had action in it in this overview of facing our challenges. Yet we have 3 more cards that have to do with the action we need to take personally and collectively, if possible. And right at the center of that action is the fire card Transmutation. She's the crone. So this is the spirit suit. This is fire of passion and spirit. And imagine she is that crone who's lifting up as the one who comes out of the ashes, comes out of the trouble, the hard stuff, the fires of life. And she's fully awakened, fully arisen. And it's time for us to do that, to come up out of whatever we've been struggling with, to continue to purify ourselves so that we can be restored and fly free. So whatever you have to do this month, work with fire to continue to purify your attitudes, purify your emotional body. Even in the midst of the holidays and a lot of good food and rich food, make sure to take care of yourself so that you can purify your heart spaces and your spirit, to lift up out of anything that's toxic for you so that you can be wise into the next step. Ceremony, ritual are all some of the ways that I go, and many ways to do this. Now, next to her, it's really important that we focus our minds. This is one of the cards of the mental suit, the Maiden, which is about clear focus, clarity. You'll notice that she's on top of a red-tailed hawk, and she has her bow and arrow pointed at whatever her target is. So this tells me that we need to focus clearly on what we desire. Don't get distracted by the things that you don't want. Know what they are, but focus on what you do want. Get clear and repeatedly come back with very clear aim and focus mentally so that you can take the action you need to achieve your desires. If you're in conflict and you're struggling with what you don't want, don't go to war. Have that wisdom of Athena, who is one of the first cards. She knows not to go to war. For her to get to her goals, she has clear focus and she's just moving forward and she does what she needs. She's not going to get distracted because that just wastes time and energy. So this card has some of the same message, is to have clear focus so that you can move forward. And we've got a lot of wisdom that we need to claim. We've got Sophia, the wise woman. And she tells me, as she sits next to these other 2 cards in the action, is that You do have the wisdom you need, or it's around you. It's definitely within you, and it's within your higher guidance system for you to move forward into whatever your next step is. I'm going to say, don't be afraid, but move forward toward those desires and resource to everything that's wise, that has resources for you, to know that you can do what you need to do, that you have the help, that you have the illumination and the clarity of sight, as well as the wisdom of your spirit to take you forward. That doesn't seem real grounded, but I think it is in the long run here. All right, your outcome, our outcome. So as we move through this 28-day cycle, we take advantage of these energies right now. We get a clear focus. We call upon all these higher aspects of ourselves. It tells me it moves us into greater capacity with our minds. That this is the Wind card, again, Mother Creativity. Creativity is throughout this reading, and the more creative and open at the top we can be, the easier it is to create our heart's desires. Now, as an outcome, I find this as a very positive card, because this is a very powerful influence when your mind no longer carries the fear, but instead is this great container, or this great vehicle. Your mind is a vehicle just as well as your physical self and your emotional self. There are energies in a vehicle for you to create. And this is a symbol of an open-minded, fully resourced person who is looking within to be able to create their external world and all that they dream in a very positive and illuminated manner. So if we get that in the next 28 days, I'd say we can have and create anything we want. We can be in the pleasure, and we can be fully actualized. All right. So next to the Mother Creativity, we've got an interesting card. It's the Four of Wind, which is also a mind card, a mental suit. And she's all about patience. So know that in the next 28 days, we're going to need to balance our inner selves and our outer selves. That whatever we're creating, we are about 9 months pregnant. That we need to take care. With this being in the outcome, it tells me that we're going to set up a lot of really awesome things over the next 28 days to come to fruition. And yet, some of those things may not be fully cooked, but they're like 9.5 months pregnant. And that there's a clear awareness that everything's about to pop into the physical, and that there's no worry. There's no fretting over when the certain things are going to hit the physical, but a knowing that they are coming and that they're right here, formed and ready to hit the world. It's just that we have to know that everything's in divine order and that things are going to appear just as they need to. So don't be afraid or worried if something in the next 28 days doesn't manifest exactly as you want. Just be present and know that everything that you desire is rolling out, coming in at exactly the right timing, and that there is a plan and that you're fully cooked and you're about ready to go. And next to that is Lakshmi. And so she is the Wheel of Fortune. She's always a great card to have. I remember when Sage and I would see her in a reading, we'd always say, well, where's the money? Because it was a symbol of great abundance coming in. And with our desires for greater harmony, health, well-being, for things in our lives to come to fruition, that we hope for, a healing of humanity, a healing in our own lives for whatever we're doing, creating new projects, new ways of being, how to navigate our circumstances, but from a much more harmonious place of being. Know that Lakshmi's here in the outcome, and she's telling us that there are divine gifts coming from the heavens into our physical lives. If you want to have a goddess to work with when you're wanting abundance, when you're wanting to create, call on Mama Lakshmi. She's this great Hindu goddess that I always say is like the giver of all gifts. When she knows your desires, she will do everything she can to help you receive the blessings from the gifts in the heavens, both spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. So know that everything is coming along. This is a very positive reading with a lot of energy from the heavenly realms. We had quite a few goddesses here. And it tells me that we are in the process of growth. We're in the process of aligning to greater heart energy, pleasure, and restoration of our own power. So do your best to keep it up, stay in your heart, clean off the dust of the hard stuff, get the blessings of the hugs where you can, and know that you are loved, that we are guided and we're protected and we're watched over all the time, that we both have our heavenly crew and our ground crew. And look for the miracles right now. Know that they exist and that they're just waiting for you to say, where are you? So that I can receive you and line up with you. So many blessings this new moon. I'm sending you lots of love. For you ladies who would like some new moon blessings, join me tonight. Go to my website at katherineskaggs.com and you can sign up for a new moon ceremony. We're going to do some blessings and some wisdom teachings. We're going to see what we can do to bring in some more energy for you to support your dreams. Thank you.